Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and this is our week number 2 team builder video for the PMC, the counter league format league that we're in. Did I say counter league format league? Anyway, it's a league that we're in that's taking place on 3DS, which is a lot of fun. And we are going up against the Windsor Weaviles, coached by Evil Orso. You can catch his link down in the description below. We'll go over his team real quick here. As you can see, there's also some news that I'll discuss here in a moment. But he has a Victini, Clefable, Donphan, Chestnut, Blastoise, Registeel, Electivire, Salamence, Absol, Entei, and Frostlass. So the biggest threat on his team, obviously, that I see is Victini. He had that Pokemon in the UBC, and it was the kill leader. And he's managed to get it in the PMC again. So that thing is going to be, it's going to be a problem. Clefable is also a big issue. It's just sometimes it's a really hard Pokemon to take down. Could be some sort of calm mindset. Last week he brought Cosmic Power against the Bermuda Tri-Attacks. Salamence can be really scary. He brought Scarf Moxie last week and ended up cleaning up the game. But his team's not all offense. You got Pokemon like Chestnut and Blastoise, Registeel, Donphan. That's a really nice looking defensive core. It's going to be really hard to break through that. So we have prepared a team that I think is going to be able to do some work. But before we get into that, I just want to talk about one thing real quick. This was discussed on the PMC channel in their free agent video. We are making some moves here. We're picking up some really great mons. We're unfortunately dropping some great mons too, but I feel like these are some moves that I had to make in order to be competitive in this division. So first off, we are adding Kimberly the Skarmory, naming it Kimberly after the that pink Power Ranger with the pterodactyl. I thought that would be pretty appropriate. Too bad the shiny form's not pink, otherwise that would be pretty awesome. It's just this green weird thing. I really wanted Skarmory for a lot of reasons. One, Excadrill is a Pokemon that's on a team in our division, and my counter to that is Whimsicott, which, in case you didn't know, is not a counter. So I knew that if I didn't want to lose those games or have a better shot at trying to take them both, that I needed to pick up a Pokemon like Skarmory that really takes on Excadrill. And obviously it's fantastic versus every physical attacker in the game practically, except for Pokemon like Entei and Victini and stuff like that. I also really wanted another form of hazards on my team. So this thing gets Stealth Rock and Spikes, but really I wanted rocks because right now I'd have just Sandslash and Jirachi. Jirachi is a Pokemon that you don't really want to have rocks on if you can help it. Just because there's so many other things that it could be doing. And Sandslash, I know I'm not going to bring to every game. So my only other option really is to try and bounce them back every week with Sableye. Which, spoilers, I'm not bringing again this week. Because we have another horrible matchup. And Skarmory is also one of the best defoggers in the game. My only hazard removal besides Sableye is Sandslash, which again, I'm not going to bring to every game. So I don't want my opponents to be able to abuse that. If they have a fairy type on their team, that's going to threaten Sableye, I don't want them feeling like they can easily bring hazards and spikes and things like that. So we got our Skarmory. Now in order to get Skarmory, we dropped one of our tier 2 Pokemon. We dropped Hydreigon. And Nagini, our Hydreigon, has been did a really good job last week in our loss to Aki, but it just while it's really good, we do have Manaphy that can function as a special attacking wall breaker. It does have, if you're going to bring it really offensively, it is somewhat limited in its options. But Manaphy does get a great move pool. It has great typing. It can be defensive. It has better speed than Hydreigon. So, it's not as powerful. It doesn't have the same immediate power that Hydreigon does. But they do at least somewhat similar things, and I felt. So I thought that was a Pokemon that, while it would have done really well, I thought that I could drop in order to get Skarmory. So the other thing with making that move is that we now need more points amongst our free Pokemon, because we were at 380 out of our total 400 that were allowed, but this puts us at 440. So we need to shed 40 points. And so the best way to do that was to take a tier 2 Pokemon and drop it for a tier 4 Pokemon, and that's what we've done with our buddy Gilthunder here. We have dropped our Scolipede for Sneasel Gilthunder the Sneasel. Now, Scolipede was another Pokemon that I was really excited to use this season. I've seen 8-Drive use it in the NPA. It's a really great combination. It just is so good at cleaning up late game, and it also has good utility. It can set up hazards, it can go for Endeavor, it could Baton Pass and things like that. But it was between that and Jirachi, obviously, because those are my only 2 remaining tier 2 mons. And Jirachi's versatility I just thought was way too good. Because, again, it has rocks, it has great move pool, has great utility moves with Wish and Healing Wish, and stuff like that. It has a great ability that lets it, flinch you to death, and everything else like that. So I just didn't want to give up Jirachi. I'd rather have that than the power and the speed that Scolipede has. I may come to regret that, but I feel like it was the right choice in the long run. And so Sneasel, while it doesn't have speed boost, it is a very naturally fast Pokemon. It has base 115 special speed. So it's basically the fastest Pokemon on my team. Whimsicott is technically faster, but I don't know. It's just Whimsicott's not an offensive Pokemon in most cases. So Sneasel more or less becomes my fastest Pokemon automatically. And, Knockoff and Icicle Crash is a really great stab combination. It's got Priority and Ice Shard. It's got Pursuit. It's got all the stuff that you always hear about when you talk about Weavile. Except now you're spending a tier 4 pick on it instead of a tier 1. Sure, it's not quite as fast, but 115 is an amazing speed tier. It's not quite as powerful, but just it's got really powerful moves, which really makes up for it. You put a Life Orb on it, you put up a Swords Dance, then Sneasel can do some work. So we went with that. My final move, so now we have a Pursuit Trapper on our team, and I have another Pokemon on my team that does have Pursuit, which is Escavalier. And with having Sneasel on my team, I don't really see a need for Escavalier. Escavalier is stronger, but it's really hindered by its speed and its 4 times weakness to fire. So, I wanted to have a Pokemon with Pursuit that can assist Manaphy in sweeping. You can take out some bulky Psychic types and other Pokemon that Manaphy doesn't like. You can take on Grass types, because Manaphy doesn't like those if it's not packing Ice Beam and stuff like that. So I decided to drop Escavalier, and I decided to pick up J-Specs, the Seismitoad. Shout out to my buddy J-Specs. Seismitoad is another, I think it's a really, really underrated Pokemon. It has really great typing. Obviously, it is 4 times weak to grass, so I'm dropping a Pokemon with a 4 times weakness as its only weakness to another one that has it as its only weakness. But Seismitoad gets much better utility than Escavalier for my team. It has Stealth Rock, has Water Absorb, which is going to be really useful for my team now that I've dropped Hydreigon. It gives me another good water resist. Gives me a Thunder Wave immunity and a General Electric immunity. And that's always really important, so that way you don't get, crushed by things like Specs Raikou or Jolteon or something like that. And I think there's some other surprises that Seismitoad can bring. It's got a pretty good move pool, both on the physical and special side. When it gets moves like Knock Off and Scald, the 2 best moves in the game. And it's just generally really bulky. 105 HP is really not bad. It's actually excellent. And it's enough to make its 2 defensive stats pretty decent when you provide some investment. So I think generally, overall, I am giving up a lot of offense with these moves that I can't deny. but I think our team is much more well-rounded now. And just in terms of becoming better in this format and becoming better at the game in general, I think that this team is going to really help us improve. Because in my UBC, I had a pretty offensive team. So now I have much more of a balanced team. It's not quite a full stall team, but I'm going to have the ability to bring stall most weeks. But I'm going to also have the ability to bring offense every week if I want. I've got some tricks that you guys will see. Just having a well-rounded team, a team that's most of the time going to be balanced. It's just going to give me more experience with that play style. And, while I'm hoping that I can make the playoffs and win some games there, I just want to have fun and get better. And so all these moves are really going to assist me with that. So now that we're 10 minutes into the video, let's try and go through our team relatively quickly. Making their last appearance for the Oriolus, we have Scolipede, rocking an Adamant Nature, Poison Jab, Earthquake, Aqua Tail, Protect, with a Life Orb. I think I might have said that, but it does have a Life Orb. So this thing is just pretty generally good against his team. Poison Jab hits Clefable, it hits Absol for neutral damage, and Absol's not exactly a bulky Pokemon. Hits Salamence. Earthquake is for the fire types and for Registeel. Aqua Tail is pretty much just for Donphan. If I could whittle his team down, and I kind of have a team that should be able to do that, just from pivoting around and getting up rocks and stuff like that. Scolipede has the potential to really do some work here, and obviously the speed boost ability is really great. It allowed me to outspeed excuse me, things like Scarf Electivire after a boost, and Pokemon like that. If he's Victini, will be able to outspeed him easily. Scarf Salamence we can outspeed with a +2 in +2 speed boosts. We could have run a Jolly Nature just to outspeed those sorts of things off the bat, but I felt like we were really gonna miss the extra power, and it just didn't really bother me all that much to take the loss in speed, because I know we can easily make it up. So did want to get this thing some action before I let it go. I hope you guys are understanding of why I'm letting it go. But that being said, I'm really hoping it puts on a great curtain call performance here. And going right alongside him, we have a specially defensive Nagini with Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, U-Turn, and Roost. So Victini counters generally don't exist in this game. But this is the best that we could come up with. Roselli Berry, especially defensive Hydreigon. Now, you might be saying, well, CJ, why are you running specially defensive? Everybody knows that Victini's best move is V-Create, so why don't you just invest into defense, which is just as good of a stat on Hydreigon? 9 times out of 10, I would agree with you, but if you're saying those things, then you clearly haven't watched any of Orso's battles. Orso almost exclusively brings special Life Orb Victini. Sometimes he brings mixed, but his dominating stat is always special defense. Or, sorry, special attack, not special defense. It'd be an interesting specially defensive wall. I don't really know exactly what that would take on. It could take on... I don't even know. I can't even think about it right now. So with that information, I think we can pretty safely invest into our special defense and feel pretty good about it. And the Roselli Berry is for the very obvious Dazzling Gleam. If we can get in with this thing and we have like 60% health, we can take one Dazzling Gleam, and I've invested just enough special attack that we will kill with Dark Pulse after one round of Stealth Rock and one Life Orb Recoil. Because like I said, Orso almost always brings Life Orb. If he brings something different, I'm going to be shocked. So, is this a reliable strategy for dealing with Victini? No. Is it gimmicky? Yes. Are there any better options? Definitely not. So with that, we are going to move on to Afroman the Whimsicott with Encore, Leech Seed, Moonblast, and U-Turn. defensive to take on things like Mega Absol, take on Salamence, take on Chestnut, take on Donphan. This Pokemon's actually really good against his team. I'm quite pleased. We put a little bit of speed on here just to outspeed Mega Absol before it Mega Evolves. Is that going to be important? Maybe not. But it was only 28 EVs, so I didn't feel bad about doing it. Encore, just, if we can catch a Donphan or a Registeel or something. It's also a good defense against Calm Mind Clefable and also Dragon Dance Salamence and stuff like that. Leech Seed, just because it's annoying. I was trying to think of what other support move I'd like to put on here. I had Stun Spore for a little while, but I didn't think Stun Spore was going to be all that useful this week. In the future, it might be useful in combination with Jirachi, but I didn't bring a para flinch Jirachi this week, as you guys will see in a moment here. So yeah, then Moonblast just to pick off the Absol and U-turn for momentum. Prankster is the obvious ability that we want to go for here, and pack in leftovers for the longevity. So Whimsicott's going to be really important for me. I can come in on the setup sweepers, encore them, and then U-turn out and get some momentum. I can U-turn out on whatever walls he has, because he'll probably swap into something more offensive to take this on. I'll just U-turn into whatever the most appropriate thing will be. Whimsicott's got to be great this week. I'm really looking forward to using it. Next up is Garth. Kind of a funky set. Stealth Rock, Substitute, Drain Punch, Iron Head with leftovers, Adamant Nature, full HP investment, a little bit of defense, and some speed. That was a mouthful, huh? So, since my only other Pokemon with Stealth Rock is Sandslash, and I wasn't going to bring that this week, I really needed to bring Rocks and Jirachi. Rocks are so important against Orso, just for Pokemon like Entei and Victini and Salamence. He doesn't have any Pokemon weak to it other than that. Well, I guess Frostlass counts, but I'm going to be shocked if he brings Frostlass. Just doesn't seem like something he's going to bring this week. Stealth Rock's really important. And then Substitute I decided to put on because there's a lot of Pokemon that I can set up a sub on. Registeel, if it's not packing Earthquake, we can set up on. Chestnut, we've invested just enough into our defense that we can take a Drain Punch, no problem, assuming he's not at all invested. We can take one and it will not break our sub. Blastoise, I don't think can break our sub, assuming it's not invested. And yeah, Clefable also we can set up subs on unless it's packing Flamethrower, but we'll know right away if it's packing Flamethrower or not. So yeah, it just made a lot of sense to me. And the combination of Drain Punch and Iron Head, it seems pretty good. It obviously doesn't hit Victini at all, but we can take on most everything other than that. And maybe if we really are coming down to it, we can go for Iron Head and try and flinch some things down. So main objective of Jirachi is to go for Stealth Rock, and if we get an opportunity to go for a sub, we can really bother his team. Next up is Andre, who is pretty quickly becoming my favorite Pokemon on the team. We're packing Expert Belt with Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, Head Smash, and Sucker Punch. There's very few things on his team that don't take super effective damage from this combination of moves. I think Donphan is probably the only one. Oh, that's not true. Clefable doesn't take super effective from any of these moves. But Flare Blitz 2 it KOs both of those things, so that doesn't even really matter. Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, Head Smash, Sucker Punch, as I said. We put some speed on here. It may seem kind of dumb, but it's enough to outspeed a Jolly Donphan. Sorry, I'm coughing up a storm, guys. I don't think he's gonna bring Jolly Donphan, but after the MV game and the GBA with the Rock Polish, I'm just not really willing to take any chances and make any assumptions. So the extra HP would be nice. That way we can do land extra hits with these recoil moves. But it should be fine. If we can get the Emboar in on certain Pokemon, like Chestnut, like Registeel, something dies. That's as simple as that. It's like just as bad as it was last week against Aki. But the problem with last week was Aki prepped really well and brought up a lot of really fast Mons that Emboar can't really do a lot to. And it turns out he did have Final Gambit on the Excelgor, so he could have killed us immediately if he wanted to. But he wanted to save the Excelgor for later in the match to try and get off spikes, which was the right move. So anyway, Embor's a nuke. Nobody can deal with Embor. It's just too good. And then last but not least, we have Super Lizard, the Heliolisk, with Volt Switch, Hyper Voice, Focus Blast, and Surf. We put just enough speed into this thing to outspeed Victini and Salamence, assuming they're not scarfed. So the main reason I want to bring this Mon is that his only normal resist is Registeel, and his only ground resist is Donphan. So if we can get rid of one or two of those Mons, then we can do a lot of work with Heliolisk. Plus just the speed is nice. He doesn't have a particularly fast team. I think his fastest Pokemon is Frostlass at base 110. But I don't anticipate him bringing that, as I mentioned. If he brings something choiced, like Choice Scarfed, then we'll be outsped. But otherwise, I don't think anything else is faster. Sorry, Absol. What am I thinking? Mega Absol. Which could destroy us, of course, with that 73 defense stat. That's pretty bad. But anyway, if we can weaken his team, I think Heliolisk is actually going to have a similar role to Scolipede in this game. Just whittle the team and then go for this combination of moves, and we should be able to take out his team. Surf is there for Donphan, Focus Blast is there for Registeel. Otherwise, we're clicking Hyper Voice or Volt Switch, and gotta make stuff happen. So that is the team, guys. I'm nervous for this match, as I always am, and it's funny. Like, you know, I've played Wi-Fi games on DS before, but these games really get your blood going. It's a lot of fun. I'm sure people who've been in countless 3DS leagues are like, "Oh, CJ, you're such a noob," but you know, it's fun for me, and I'm looking forward to beginning to grow more and improve in this format on the 3DS. So I want to apologize for the long video, but I think it was worth it just to go over my mindset for the moves and then my mindset for the team building for week number 2. Just in case it wasn't clear, the moves that I made for Skarmory, Sneasel, and Seismitoad do not take effect in this game. They take place starting week 3, so you will not see Scolipede, Hydreigon, or Scavalier on our team from now on. We do not have the ability to make any more free agent moves, but if we want to make some trades, there are opportunities to make trades. So won't take up any more of your time, guys. Please be sure to check back tomorrow for the battle. It'll be going up in the morning, most likely. I do want to encourage you guys to check back for more Pokemon content, and until the next time, I will see you all later.